You wake up in the morning and reach for your phone. Your finger automatically drifts off, going through the news, email, social media. I'll just check and exit. Then hours, days, and sometimes relationships slip by unnoticed. So what's really happening? Why do so many men in America turn to pornography, not occasionally, but regularly? And more importantly, in what ways is this habit silently eroding relationship quality, sexual satisfaction, and even mental health? Today, we'll have a clear, honest, and helpful conversation without romanticizing the numbers, without blaming or stigmatizing. Because the issue isn't a debate about is viewing a sin, it's about control, intimacy, expectations, and how our connection to real life is shaped. Hello, I'm Dr. Lyra Benton. Welcome to my channel, where I focus on urology and men's health. Let's start by taking a closer look at the American landscape. The vast majority of men in the United States have accessed pornography at some point in their lives. Research shows that this rate is approaching 80%. But the real important thing is how much and how it's used. According to reports from the American Urological Association, AUA, frequent and uncontrolled pornography consumption is associated with effects such as decreased erection quality and difficulty achieving arousal with a real partner in some men. Content that provides high-speed stimulation, in particular, is thought to desensitize the brain to real intimacy over time. Long-term relationship studies conducted in the U.S. also paint a similar picture. Relationship satisfaction and emotional stability decrease as pornography use increases. However, these results don't apply to everyone. For some men, relationship problems trigger pornography use, while for others, factors such as secrecy, stress, and loneliness fuel both problems. So, what are the consequences of expectations transferred from the screen to bed? The brain quickly adapts to the pace of editing, uninterrupted performance, and provocative variety in porn. This overstimulation cycle can initially make slower, more sensual, and more rhythmic lovemaking with a real partner feel less intense. Another shift occurs in expectations, the on-screen intensity, the control games, the perfect erection chart. All of these trigger disappointment when they don't resonate in real life. Furthermore, when secrecy is added, trust erodes. If the partner faces withholding rather than sharing, distance grows instead of closeness. Conversely, for some couples, shared viewing, fantasies, and curiosity can become positive experiences within a controlled framework. What makes the difference is open communication and boundaries established through consent. Now let's expand on the topic a bit and examine the effects on men by age group. Pornography use develops on a different psychological and biological basis at each age. Therefore, the level of risk depends not only on frequency, but also on the current life stage. Age is 18-24, the period of experience and identity search. This age group is the stage when curiosity is at its highest. The majority of men experience pornography for the first time during this period. Because real-world relationships are still limited, virtual sex becomes a simulated experience. However, the brain is very sensitive to dopamine during this period. Overstimulation can raise the threshold for normal sexual arousal. As a result, contact with a real partner may not feel as immediate or intense as it does on screen. This can lead to early onset performance anxiety, temporary fluctuations in erection quality, and increased feelings of loneliness. Ages 25-34, the period of increased stress, work, and relationship pressure. This age range is the period when work and romantic relationships are most intense. As responsibilities, competition, and time pressures increase, coping strategies become more important. Research shows that men use pornography more frequently during this period as an escape or relaxation mechanism. However, this use can unknowingly develop into a habit loop. When secrecy begins in partnered relationships, trust is eroded. A habit that cannot be discussed openly silently undermines the emotional bond. Problematic use in this age group has been most strongly associated with decreased relationship satisfaction and performance anxiety. Ages 35-29, emotional conflicts and entrenched habits. During this period, pornography use generally decreases. But if problematic use has become persistent, emotional conflicts persist. Family life, monotony, and lack of communication can trigger secret screen escapades. According to AUA reports, symptoms of pornography-associated erectile dysfunction, PID, are more common in this age group. Years of excessive visual stimulation can lead to difficulty achieving arousal during intimacy, delayed orgasm, and a decrease in desire. During this period, psychological, not physical, fatigue predominates. The mind, not the body, struggles to respond. Ages 50 and over, persistence, privacy, and emotional isolation. Libido naturally declines with age. However, if screen stimulation has become habitual, the behavior becomes a more personal and enduring pattern. WHO and APA data show that pornography consumption in older men is often linked to loneliness and emotional isolation. In this age group, viewing often serves the purpose of emotional fulfillment rather than physical need. However, paradoxically, it can deepen feelings of loneliness in the long run. Furthermore, the guilt associated with pornography can exacerbate depressive symptoms. General trend: the triangle of frequency, content, and control. Regardless of age, 3 factors determine risk: frequency, content intensity, and a sense of control. As frequency of use increases, the brain becomes accustomed to a cycle of high arousal. As content becomes more extreme, expectations diverge from reality, and as a sense of control diminishes, a guilt-shame spiral grows. This can lead to significant fluctuations in both erection quality and emotional attachment, especially in young and middle-aged men. An honest answer to the question, will it ruin you? There's no definitive answer. While some men experience significant harm, the effects can be neutral or partially positive in others, depending on the context. The difference is intention to use, escape, curiosity, sharing, frequency, content selection, partner's attitude, the individual's attachment style, and their ability to cope with stress in life. So there's no one-size-fits-all prescription. But this is true. If your sense of control is diminishing, frequency exceeds what you planned, distance from your partner is deepening, or a vicious cycle of guilt and shame has formed, the alarm is ringing. Self-diagnosis, the short mirror test. Sometimes the problem isn't apparent from the outside, but from the inside. That's when it's time to take an honest look in the mirror. Ask yourself these questions today. Am I watching more than I planned? Did I try to quit but start again? Is it decreasing closeness with my partner or increasing emotional distance? Is my work, studies, sleep, or social life being affected by this? When I feel guilt or shame, do these feelings push me back to the screen? If you answer yes to 2 or 3 of these questions, it's not a failure. It's a threshold of awareness. As the American Psychological Association APA states, the process of change begins with noticing, because the behavior you notice is no longer automatic. The goal at this point isn't to blame yourself, it's to redesign the cycle. Small steps break the chains. The way out, a scientific and practical roadmap. The first step is to limit frequency and identify triggers. Stress, loneliness, insomnia, boredom, and social isolation often trigger the urge to watch. Create a replacement plan for these moments. A 20-minute walk, a short workout, a cold shower, a breathing exercise, a call to a friend, all of these feed the dopamine system in healthier ways. The second step is to simplify your content diet. Instead of extreme content, opt for softer, emotionally charged, and intimacy-filled material, rebuilding the bridge between genuine connection and desire. Step 3. Time-space framing. Clearing the bedroom of screens, filtering phones and computers, and limiting usage hours break the automaticity of the habit. Step 4. Talking openly with your partner. I want to cut back because it means I want to make space for you. I want to return to reality. Use the language of responsibility and intimacy, not guilt. Discussing expectations, boundaries, and fantasies open space for shared exploration. Step 5. Don't hesitate to seek professional support. Cognitive behavioral approaches are effective in rewiring habit loops. Individual or couples therapy strengthens the trust and communication muscles. Remember, this isn't a battle of wills, it's a matter of habit engineering. Partner dynamics, trust, transparency, and returning to rhythm. Secrecy eats away at relationships. Transparency repairs trust. You don't have to eliminate porn entirely from your life, but you do have to avoid letting it replace genuine intimacy. Watching together can work for some couples, but it's only healthy with the 3 pillars of consent, curiosity, and boundaries. The most critical muscle, micro-acknowledgement. Is this okay? Should I continue? Do you want it slower? Simple questions dismantle the one-way performance language coming from the screen and restore the 2-way intimacy language. Body language, recalibrating stimulation. Returning from excessive visual and rapid stimulation to the real skin rhythm smell triad takes time. Invest in foreplay to reacclimate your body to slow heating mode. Simple principles like breath matching, slow kissing, texture continuity, and clitoral focus for the female partner or pressure rhythm balance for the male will retrain the brain to the message, "You are here and safe." A few weeks of consistent practice will help replace screen reflexes with intimacy reflexes. Mental health, closing the guilt spiral, gentle stigma, shame, and self-punishment. All of these trigger backfire, not recovery. According to research by the American Psychological Association, APA, one of the most powerful triggers for men trying to cut back on pornography is guilt. The more intense this feeling, the more often escape behavior occurs. So paradoxically, self-punishment reinforces the cycle. The goal should not be perfection, but steady improvement. Slippages can occur. The important thing is to plan for the next day and restart the cycle. According to the APA's behavioral restructuring model, self-compassion, mindfulness, and routine supportive actions are key to breaking this cycle. Social contact, exercise, adequate sleep, and small rituals that add meaning to the day, for example, journaling, meditation, prayer, or walking in nature, naturally balance the brain's dopamine system. Because it's not just screens that deliver dopamine, it's connection, creation, and movement that deliver it. When this awareness is established, guilt gives way to a sense of responsibility, and at that point, recovery becomes permanent. Conclusion: taking back control, reclaiming intimacy. In summary, pornography is prevalent among men in America, and its risks become particularly apparent as the frequency increases, the content becomes more intense, the secrecy increases, and the relationship is already fragile. This is not an inevitable fate, however. Consciously limiting use, managing triggers, moderating your content diet, talking openly with your partner, and seeking support when needed, here are concrete steps to regain control. Returning from the fictional world on screen to the warmth of reality is possible, and sooner than you think. Remember, the content I share here is for general health and educational purposes only. It's not a substitute for self-medication. If your use is accompanied by loss of control, intense guilt, impaired relationship function, or emotional distress, seek professional help. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video, and we'll share some exciting topics.